There are a huge number of different types of translation. In fact, we've identified 51 of them in one of our blog articles, and they're just the common ones you're likely to come across. Of those 51, we can identify 13 types based on the subject area of the text, or the technical field if you like. Now this is important because these texts require translators with specialist knowledge. In this video, I'm going to quickly run through those 13 types of translation and tell you what you need to know about them. Keep watching. Our first type is technical translation. So what's that? In its broader sense, this can refer to any translation where the translator needs specialist knowledge. So it would include almost all the other translation types we're going to discuss here. But in a more specific sense, it refers only to translations of engineering, IT, and industrial texts. Now, whichever definition we use, what's relevant is that the translator must have expertise in that subject area. Why? Because without it, they may not completely or correctly understand the text or its implications, which means that they may not produce a fully accurate and appropriate translation. In practical terms, this means a translator would typically either have a qualification or several years' experience in that technical field. Scientific translation refers to the translation of scientific research or documents relating to it, so research papers, journal articles, trial results, and so on. These texts invariably contain domain-specific terminology, so again translators need expertise in that area. Plus, these documents will often include leading-edge research, so the translator may have to consult with other domain experts or even the author himself to fully comprehend the material. Our third translation type is medical translation, which is a translation of healthcare, medical product, pharmaceutical, and biotechnology materials. Now this covers a huge variety of specialist areas and materials, everything from patient information to regulatory, marketing, and technical documentation. So it goes without saying that a translator with a medical background will be needed for many of these texts. And interesting here is that many countries have specific requirements for the translation of medical device and pharmaceutical documentation, both for what information must be included and how this has to be presented. Financial translation is a translation of banking, stock exchange, foreign exchange, financing, and financial reporting documents. But only the specialised materials in those fields, so not a bank statement, for example, that any competent translator could handle. Again, the assumption is a translator will need knowledge and experience with these types of documents to firstly understand them fully and then translate them correctly using the right vocabulary and style. Our fifth type, economic translations, is mostly just another term for the financial translations we've just discussed, but it can also be used in a more specific way to refer to the translation of documents relating to the economy and the field of economics. And of course, many of these documents will be a challenge for any translator who hadn't formally studied economics. Next is legal translation. That's the translation of documents relating to the law and legal process. Examples here would be contracts, legal reports, court judgments, expert opinions, and legislation itself. Now, legal translation is tricky because the differences between different legal systems mean translators often have to translate concepts that don't exist in their own legal system. And this is on top of the challenges of always having to use the precise, legally correct translation for every term and write in legal style. Which explains why legal translators are true specialists who will almost always have a degree in law and experience working in the legal field. Type 7, juridical translation, is mostly just another term for legal translation. However, it can also refer to translations needing some form of legal verification, certification or notarization that is common in many countries and jurisdictions. And judicial translation is a third term commonly used as a synonym for legal translation. But again, it can have a more technical meaning, referring specifically to the translation of court proceeding documentation, so judgments, minutes, testimonies, and so on. At a minimum, a translator for these documents will need to be familiar with court processes, but a legal background is generally advisable. Our ninth type is patent translation. This is the translation of intellectual property and patent-related documents. So, what's the challenge in translating these? Firstly, patents can be highly technical, so technical expertise may be needed. Secondly, patents use established terminology such as prior art and claims that must be translated in the correct way. And thirdly, they have a distinct structure and require total consistency of wording throughout. Now this is important because by instinct, translators tend to want to avoid repeating themselves. So what this means is that for patents you need translators who have been trained in the specific requirements of patent translation. Our next type, literary translation, is the translation of literary works, so novels, short stories, plays, essays, poems, etc. Now, literary translation is widely regarded as the most difficult form of translation. Why is that? Because it involves way more than simply conveying the meaning in an appropriate style. Somehow, the translator must also reproduce the flavour, subtlety and impact of the original, the essence of what makes that work unique. Now, this requires a translator with exceptional creative writing skills, which is why it's often said a literary translation should be a literary work in its own right. Commercial translations and business translation are two very generic terms for the translation of documents in the world of business. It's a very wide-reaching translation type. It can include the translation of legal, financial, technical, as well as a huge range of more general business documents. This means that different translators will be needed for different document types, specialists for technical texts and generalist translators for non-specialist materials. Plus, some documents like management reports and proposals can include a lot of jargon and management speak, so we'll need a translator who is used to writing in that style. Our final type is a translation of advertising, marketing and promotional materials, commonly simply referred to as marketing translations. Now, these texts are designed to have a specific impact on the audience, to appeal and persuade, so the translation needs to do this too. This can be quite a challenge. Often a direct translation won't achieve this, so translators need to adapt their wording to produce the impact the text is seeking. And sometimes a completely new message might be needed. This is what we call transcreation, which we discussed in another video. Now, the key thing about marketing translations is they require translators who are skilled writers with a flair for producing persuasive, impactful copy. So there you have it, 13 common types of translation based on the subject area of the text. The key theme running through all of them is they require translators who are familiar with the subject matter. Without this, they may not fully understand the text and therefore translate it correctly, and they may not use quite the right vocabulary or technical writing style. Intrigued about the rest of our 51 translation types? Then head over to our blog article where we take you through the complete list, and have a look at our other video featuring 9 translation types that require exceptional know-how and expertise. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.